Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, and let's talk about this once again. Disappointing results for PSG in the Champions League. 1-1 draw at home against Newcastle that sees us drop off of the top 8. And so we're gonna have to go through a playoff round to make it to the first knockout round. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's like really a mixed bag. There's a lot of positive. Hard as it is to believe, obviously, it all pales behind how disappointing a result it is, and also the fact that we've seen this game 3 times already. We've seen it more than that, actually. We've seen it like a number of times, and we keep playing it over and over again, and we're not making that much progress. So let's just dive into it. I'm gonna try to be organized with my thoughts, okay? Because I think like it's hard, and like to be honest, like I literally just got done rewatching the game. And yeah, like I said, like there's some positive to it, there's a lot of negative to it, and I want to be organized. I want to do it justice. I don't want to be like the guys who are shouting on Twitter, and I've seen it today. People who are ready to like sell half of our team, fire Luis Enrique, and like start being ridiculous about it. I think that's not the case. I'll start with the disappointing part, so like we can clear that out of the way. First, like the lack of finishing is just insane. Because yesterday again we end the game with like nearly 3 xg versus like barely 1 for Newcastle. And so like there's no word in which like this should end up in a draw. There's no word in which like we even sweat at the end of the game to like not lose this game. It should be like literally like within the first 15 minutes, it should be beyond the shadow of a doubt. And yet again, yeah, like our attackers aren't doing the job. Midfielders aren't contributing enough. Our fullbacks in this game, they do add on, but not enough. And I think all of those little things, really like little things, because we do create chances. Like we do create. We end up with like nearly 3 xg. It's not nothing. Like I like once again, I just finished watching a game again. We dominated like basically throughout. We do create a lot more. We take a lot of shots, but yeah, like we don't convert. And I think like there's little elements to it in terms of technique, of how we take the shots, how we play the ball, the combinations, the little stuff that we're not doing right. We have a player like Dembélé who has a horrible game throughout. We have a player like Doué who has a horrible game throughout. And so at that point, we've got a player like Ramos who comes in for 20 minutes and literally like goes through them like a ghost. And at that point, we don't really have solutions. Hakimi is just interesting to begin with, but doesn't really like go all the way, and like doesn't really like. He's got a couple of situations, but not really chances. Nuno Mendes, I felt like was probably like held back defensively a lot more than we would have wanted. And then even when he moves forward, he tends to move along the sideline and not like cut back inside. So like we just we've got an issue there. We've had that issue for a while. It's frustrating, and like at the same time, like what can we do about it? Because it's not like it's not like our attackers are shit. Like I'm not gonna say that. I've seen people say it, that like, oh, Dembélé, like we should know, like he's never gonna be as good as he was last season. Yeah, like maybe he's not gonna score 30 goals, like honestly at this point of the season, but like the penalties that he misses on the second minute, I'm sorry, like that should be scored. A couple of chances he has as well. He's got one in the second half where he does like a a volley which goes like just wide and like really like should be a goal. So yeah, that's opportunities there. Doué, I think his whole game he was upside down. Barcola was interesting, but I think like he had a couple of like shooting opportunities, but not really that many. It was more like in the build-up and like creating space and then passing it off. So not really like can't really blame Barcola for the finishing on this one because he didn't really have like that many opportunities to finish. So yeah. So that's a problem. And like we're gonna have to fix it. I think a lot of it is for me, and that kind of takes me into my next point. The two reasons for it that I can see is one, the level of fitness, and I think we'll go back to this all season long. And two, yeah, the mentality a little bit. I think it's like in their heads, like confidence and mentality. So I'll start with that, and then we'll move into the physical element of it. The mentality, like honestly, I was shocked because I was getting to the 80th minute, and like Vitinha has a couple of like really big shots from outside the area that come close. I'm like, literally, Vitinha is the only guy on the pitch who's shooting like the ball did something to his wife. Like he's the only one who's shooting like he wants to hurt the goalkeeper and he wants the ball to like go through the net. The others, yeah, like they take their chances, they shoot, they do it obviously with intent, but it doesn't feel like they want to kill someone with it. And I think like that's really the little difference that we're missing. And I think sometimes we play like a team who is a little bit too sure of itself, is a little bit like too self-confident, and players who want to be beautiful to watch more than like really makes a difference. I think it's a little bit of an issue. I don't think it's just me because I see a lot of criticism for the mentality of the player. I'm not going to go as far as like criticize it wholesale. I still do think, our players are doing also like the best that they can and they're really putting in the effort into those games. But yeah, I think like there's that little like, 2%, 3% sliver at the top that we're missing right now. And when you're having these sort of chances, it makes a difference. And I think like when you're facing a defense with that much density in this area, if you want to go and like all of the players are 2 meters tall, like literally they're all like giants and monsters and so on. If you want to go past them, you're gonna want to hurt someone. Like it's just that's how it works. And yeah, I don't think that's the attitude that we brought onto the pitch yesterday. And I think I also I want to be fair because like he should have a statue in front of the Parc des Princes and like I'll stick with him until the day I die. But Luis Enrique, when I think it was before the game against Sporting, when he says, "Oh, it's not a bad thing if we have to go through the extra round because like playing more game is good for us." That's a mistake. That's a big mistake of his. We shouldn't ever give the impression to ourselves, to our media, to our opponents, and to our players that anything less than a win is acceptable. That's not how big clubs operate, and I think like that's a mistake at this point. I understand why he was doing it, wanting to take some of the pressure off. He probably knew as well like the level of his players, and so he could probably like see it coming a little bit, but it's just not something that should be said. It should be like every time we're coming in, we want to win, we want to kill whoever we put opposite us. We're going to destroy them. We're going to beat them 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, whatever it might be. And we're going to go on to the next stage and dominate whoever you put ahead of us. That's how like top teams should be thinking. And I think, it's probably like very disconcerting for the players. And you see it. And I think, you get into the second half yesterday, and we'll get to the physical element of it all because I think it's also important. But you get to the second half, and there is a point where it feels like our players are more or less satisfied with the draw. They're not. When you see, like, for example, you see like the Real Madrid Benfica game, where like at the last second, it's madness on the pitch, the goalkeepers run up and like they want to score at all costs and so on. I'm not saying we should have done that because we're not in the same situation, obviously. But I don't think at any point we got this same intensity and this same like burning desire to get the win. And I think for a large part of the second half, our players were probably thinking like, oh, like we've got the draw, we're still part of the top 8, so, kind of good enough. Let's try to put the second goal, but let's not kill ourselves at it, and let's not risk it all for it. And I don't think that's the kind of attitude that you can have going into a decisive game like this. And so I think that's a Luis Enrique thing, and I think obviously now we walk into games where like we have to get the win and it's elimination rounds anyway. So this kind of goes away. But we have to be careful because like we're gonna get more games like the one we got against Newcastle, where people are gonna come at us with a 5-4-1 system, perfectly happy to stay in the back, get a couple of opportunities here and there, maybe convert one, and maybe that's enough to go into extra time, next round, penalty, whatever it might be, and you can get eliminated like this. So we're gonna have to find better solutions as well, tactically. Physically, let's go into that as well. I don't want to do a 3-hour video. Physically, like, it's funny because on one side I'm like really sitting there going like, really, like, we need to stop talking about last season wholesale, like the whole thing, the good and the bad and like whatever in between. We need to stop talking about like how we're European champion. We need to stop talking about how we're the best team in the world. We need to stop talking about how like we dominated so thoroughly last season and we put in some great performances and so on, because it's a new season, it's not our reality anymore. And at the same time, we continue to pay the price for that previous season. And I think like the physical element of it, it's something that we're going to drag all year. Part of it is our fault because we made the decision, and Luis Enrique and Luis Campos made the decision to not go over the top with their recruits and to keep a relatively small squad. Their decision, they're gonna have to live with it, and we'll see at the end of the season how it worked for us or not. But the reality is that the length and the amount of games that we played last season, the fact that we didn't have a summer break, we didn't have a physical preparation, we didn't have a summer training camps and so on, is something that we're going to keep carrying, and we're going to keep seeing like player getting injured. Vara yesterday, hopefully it doesn't look too bad from what we're hearing today. But yeah, Hakimi is just coming back and he's clearly not anywhere close to his top level. We've heard like Fabian Ruiz was missing yesterday, and for all the love that I've got for Vitinha Zaïre-Emery, who plays a great game, it's just not the same. You can see João Neves in the second half like dropping off in terms of what he brings to the table. You've got Dembélé and Doué, who haven't really found completely their stride since they came back from injury, even if it's been a while now. So like that's that physical situation. It's not an excuse, because once again, like, yeah, we could have like signed 5 players last summer. We could have signed 3 like this month, even if they couldn't have played this game. We could have done a lot more. We could have said, hey, like that first month of competition in August, we're just going to sit it out and do a physical prep with our starters and happen what may. And like, if we lose the first 4 games, we lose the first 4 games. We didn't do that. We chose to compete and do the best that we could across the board. Could we have managed better? Probably. But I like, we're in the middle of the season still, so it's still a bit early to like really draw up the consequences. I think like just a very interesting point that I saw someone make and I wanted to relay is that given the fact that we are going to carry this physical deficit all the way through to the end of the season. Is it still right that tactically we're not making more adjustments to how we play? And is it right that we're still trying to, maintain this total control of the game, this very like high impact, high tempo, like counter pressing, very high up? We don't necessarily have the physicality to back it up for the whole game. I think that one is a really good question. I think sometimes like it's also like the games that our opponents are forcing us to play. Not so much in Champions League, but in Ligue 1 for sure. Like people aren't gonna start playing just because we don't press as high. So we kind of have to do it by default. But I think yesterday, like you see the limits of it, because we end the game running like 105 kilometers when last season in the Champions League we'd run an average of 118. So it's like that game yesterday versus last season, it's like we played it with one less player. So it's a big difference. It's a huge difference. And you see it in the second half. We're not as mobile, there's not as much running, there's no players swapping position. And all of a sudden, it gets so much easier for Newcastle to defend. That's the reality of it. So anyway, like that's kind of like for me what were like the big negative points. In terms of positives, like because let's talk about it as well. Like I said, want to be balanced. The first 20 minutes I think are outstanding, and really like we come on the pitch and utterly dominate for 20 minutes. Take control of the ball, don't let go. The counter pressing is on point. We create opportunities, we find spaces, there's combinations. Not everything is perfect because we don't score the penalty and we don't convert like a couple of chances that we have. But we're 1-0 up, and honestly, like, yeah, if it's like 3-0 up at the 20th minute, there's really not that much to be said about it, honestly. And it felt like a very prime PSG display. And hopefully, we've been seeing more and more of those moments, like the second half against Lille, the Sporting Portugal game, like the first 60 minutes. So yeah, it feels like little by little, and it's not 90 minutes yet. It's not really close to 90 minutes yet, but we do see those flashes of like PSG at its best, and hopefully that's something that we can build on and expand on as we go forward in the season. So yeah, like that was very, very positive. And yeah, I think in terms of positives as well, I think like our midfield three did quite well. Vitinha in particular had a really strong game. João Neves was fantastic in the first half, but like I said, dropped off physically in the second one. Vitinha Zaïre-Emery also like probably was a little bit better in the first half and then dropped off a little bit, but had a really good game, and like the physicality of Vitinha Zaïre-Emery is just amazing to have, especially in a game like this. Like the duel between Vitinha Zaïre-Emery and Tonali in the first half, man, like that one, like I'm waiting for the clip to come up in like the PSG's Twitter or YouTube channel, because like I'm gonna keep watching it for a while. When he makes a run back and kind of gets the ball back off of Tonali and then like kind of runs around him in circles, just hilarious. Yeah, Vitinha, really interesting, good goal, beautiful goal, a couple of like really good shots from outside the area. I wish our other midfielders had tried something like this, because it would have been a good solution. And I think Vitinha in the end, like, he's trying, but it might have been better if it could come from a few different people. And yeah, Barcola, I mean, first, like Guevara for the first 20 minutes, really good start. It's too bad that he goes off injured. And I think that kind of starts taking us off our games a little bit, and start putting Newcastle back in their game a little bit. And Barcola has a really strong game as well, creates a lot on his left flank, makes a lot of run, contributes defensively. I thought I'm a big fan of Barcola. I really like him. Like, I know he's got his flaws, and I know lots of people see the limitations in him. I think, sometimes people are being a little bit too harsh with him. And I think on a game like yesterday, you see like the impact that he has, just magnificent. And honestly, like I kind of wish he had a goal to his name, just go like people could stop talking, because like if Barcola scores yesterday, like no one can say anything about him for the next, a couple of weeks at least. So anyway, what comes next? We're going into the playoff round. We're going to be playing either against Karabakh in Azerbaijan or against Monaco in France. Personally, like, I'll be honest, I'd rather do Karabakh. I think Monaco, like, they're not doing so well right now. But at the same time, like, playing against a French team, I think it's always a little bit annoying, because you win and it's as expected. You don't win and it's a huge deal and we look ridiculous. I mean, not that we wouldn't look ridiculous if we end up losing against Karabakh, but and most importantly, I think at this point, this PSG team needs like kind of a light on moment, like a light switch moment, where like something switches, something goes on, and like, we take those first 20 minutes and all of a sudden, like, instead of scoring one goal, we score two or we score three, and like we can carry that through the rest of the game. Or we expand on those 20 minutes and we turn up the pressure a little bit in the second half as well and kill the game then. I think we're really not that far. Honestly, that's where it's frustrating, because like a game like yesterday, if you pick a team that should be winning it, it definitely should be PSG. And I think like neutral fans will agree to that. So we're not that far, and we're producing, and we're producing what should be enough to be winning this sort of game. And so I think, we need something to like, something to come from outside to make the difference. And I think like last season, the players talked a lot about like how they had to make the trip to Qatar to play in the Trophée des Champions against Monaco at the beginning of Jan. And that trip, making it together, the long travel, winning a trophy and so on, it was really something that kickstarted for them what would go on to show in the Man City game, in the Stuttgart game, and so on and so forth, all the way to the final. And so I kind of hope for a moment like this, and maybe, if we have to make a long journey to Azerbaijan to play like in a All-Star stadium, and maybe like the circumstances will be a little rough, who knows? But that could be like a turnaround moment, which really like gets us going and sets us off on a better track. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for at this point. So I'll take Karabakh over Monaco. And then, like, if we qualify, the round after that, if we qualify, obviously, let's not, skin the bear before anything happens. But if we were to qualify, we'd play either against Barcelona or against Chelsea. In what, it's already like matchups that are waiting to happen. So I think like that'd be really interesting. We're still qualified in the Champions League, but not eliminated. I know it's frustrating and like it feels like we lost something, because literally up till the 80th minute we were in the top 8, and we had been in the top 8 all the way through the group stage, except for the last 10 minutes. Frustrating, but it is football. And yeah, like we're still qualified. We're gonna go into the playoff and win there, and then we'll go play against either Chelsea or Barcelona, which would be fascinating games. If we qualify, we could be playing against Liverpool in quarterfinal, which would be also an interesting revenge. If we qualify, we could be playing against Arsenal again in the semi-finals, which would be also an interesting look back. Like we'll see where we go. We might not win it in the end. I think at this point, like we're definitely not in the top favorites to win it, and I think it's fair. I think given where we are as a team and given what we've shown, completely fair that we're not favorites for it. But it's still early, and still anything can happen. It's a new competition that starts. So now we have to win game after game after game, and we'll see if we can make it happen. It's going to be great, and we'll follow it up here. So anyway, this is what I had for you guys on this PSG Newcastle. Job undone, but it could be worse. We could be Marseille. We could be Marseille getting like eliminated of the Champions League on the last minute on a goal from Benfica keeper. It could be worse. We could be Real Madrid, who took that goal from Benfica and ended up losing 4-2 in Portugal. It could be worse. There's always someone who's worse than us anyway. So like, again, it's funny. I say it a lot these days, but again, thank you to Marseille. Thank you to Marseille. Last weekend, thank you to Marseille for beating Lens and allowing us to take the lead in Ligue 1. Today, thank you to Marseille for, brightening our days, giving us something to smile at and laugh at. Very well done to you guys. But yeah, if you made it this far, I'm sorry, I digress. It's time to close. It's time to close. I'm finishing it off. If you've made it this far, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Hit the bell to get notified. Let me know in the comment, drop your sadness, drop your annoyances. We'll talk about it. We'll be okay. And in the meantime, still in the Champions League, ici c'est Paris!